And he basically mentioned something about a part, a new front wing that was put on George's car, but not on his. They only had one. And a lot of people, and the commentators as well, mistakenly said, it was offered to Lewis, but George took it because Lewis refused it. Well, that's not actually what we were told by Lewis. Now, I don't think that Lewis is a liar, and I don't think that Lewis needs to be a liar. He's very wealthy and very successful, and he's quite happy in his lot that he's moving to Ferrari next year. So he gave them, and if you don't mind, this is going to take a second.
Go ahead.
He gave them 1 full year's notice that he was going to leave and go to Ferrari. Nobody bothers to do that in Formula One. Only somebody who's trying to help a team. And he was staying for this year so that they could pick another driver, that they could fix this car that has been a disaster since the creation of the newer designs with the underflow. It looks like an octopus in water. I hate the new design. And I really do. It looks like a stingray in water. So, yeah.
I like stingrays, but it does look like a stingray.
Yeah. Well, so what's the guy from Australia who died because of a stingray? The animal guy.
Yeah, the animal guy. Paul. What was his name? Okay.
I can't remember. Oh, look at this guy. He's just great. Anyway, so he Steve something was his name. So anyway, look, Lewis gave them a year's notice deliberately so that he could stay to help the team, that they could turn this car around, and potentially he could get back the championship win that he was supposed to get before he left to go to Ferrari. And the deal, it seems, has gone sour. That he has now said, yes, George was 2/10 ahead of me, and I think it might have had something to do with the front wing, but that was not what he was alluding to afterwards, where he said, you are not probably going to see me out-qualify George for the rest of the season.
Right.
And he did that deliberately so that the interviewer would then follow up with a question. Why don't you think that would be? And Lewis gave that wry smile that he does and shrugged his shoulders. And he is alluding to the fact that all of a sudden, the deal that he made with Mercedes to help them and be involved and stay there, as in stay involved in developing the car, it looks like something has happened at Mercedes, and he is now getting the cold shoulder, and he's hurt. He is emotionally hurt because Lewis has always held his emotions on his sleeve. He's always been very open about this. And if you watch this interview and you watch what Lewis says and does, you will get the picture. Something has happened at Mercedes and he's not a happy guy. And I'm very upset because I thought they were literally arms locked, himself and Toto, and therefore the entire team would follow suit. And something has happened. And I think George has whinged, or Mercedes upper management have said, look, he's going to leave, so we can't talk tech with him. We can't share anymore. And I think this is going to be the big story, and you're hearing it now because I posted this immediately when I saw that this interview, and I was dumbfounded. I was shocked. So there you go. That's what I think this big news is going to be, that now I think Lewis is going to flounder in the Mercedes for the rest of the year. And he is alluding that he is not going to get the best settings. And he said, how come I'm so fast in practice 1, practice 2, practice 3, and then I get into qualifying and I'm pretty okay in 1 and 2, and then suddenly my car is like 2/10 off. I think he's almost intimating that they're changing his settings or depowering his car to ensure that he will not out-qualify George. And that's the big caption here. Now follow the story from here on.
As a Hamilton fan, I do not think that's controversial. I 100% believe that George is supposed to be the leader of the team next year. And so since George is staying and Lewis is leaving, we have to make sure that we prop up George, keep his confidence up, because we know if he's in the running for winning a race, he may crash. He may crack under the pressure. So we have to prop him up. We have to stroke him. We have to give him the confidence that he can do it. And We can't do that if Lewis keeps beating him in qualifying, if Lewis keeps beating him in the race, and Lewis beats him down like he did last year, he won't be able to recover. Because I think, I'm not going to say George is fragile, but I'm going to say he definitely doesn't have nowhere near the racecraft, of course, as a 7-time world champion does. He doesn't have, and in my opinion, he's part of that group. It's Charles Leclerc, it's Lando Norris, it's Alex Albon, and it's him. And to me, out of all those guys, and really it's Max, because Max was racing along the lines with all those guys too. And to me, out of all those people that I just mentioned, he's the last one. I think Albon's better than George. I definitely know Lando's better than George, and we both know Charles is better than George, and Max, we can't even compare him to Max. Out of all those guys, he's running 4th or 5th. He's not in the top of his class. And I feel bad for Lewis because I thought that Toto Wolff, and we know that Formula One is ruthless, but I really thought that Toto Wolff was going to be different. I really thought that they were really truly friends, and that Toto Wolff would treat him with a little bit more dignity and respect and wouldn't let that happen to Lewis. I really thought that, and I was disappointed to see that interview. I was disappointed to, just by watching, could tell, I was like, wait, he's not as racy as he was in these practice 1, practice 2, practice 3. What happened? They didn't change the settings. They didn't change, because he was always trying different settings all through the year. He's been talking about that. And I was like, something else is up with this. And then I saw that interview and I was like, oh man, they don't want him to be ahead of George. It's just very disheartening as a Formula One fan to know that they just won't let him go out and race and let the best man win.
If I may, I don't want your viewers, your listeners to think that I'm fooling myself, that once somebody says they're going to leave a team, that the door doesn't get shut a little bit. Of course it does. But the inference and the appearance was that Lewis went to them early and said, guys, I'm going to leave in a year, but I'm going to help you deliver this car. I'm going to help you mend this car. I'm going to help you fettle and settle this car. And I think that he is truly hurt because Lewis doesn't make mention of things like this. He's mentioned this as if it was a situation has now developed, and he realizes that we're only a quarter of the way into the season, and the deal that he had struck with them for him to stay and hold his head up and do everything that was right for the team with an honesty, that was the point of this. And I think that this has been suddenly taken away and it's been slammed, the door's been slammed in his face, and he's truly hurt by this, because otherwise he would have gone, hey guys, I'm leaving. The deal is you do what you have to do. Is that what we're going to do? Yeah, that's what we're going to do. Fine, then I'll just run this year in the best way we can. I get it. But no, I genuinely think that something has happened in Mercedes and the rules have changed, and Lewis is feeling shut out and hurt. And I think that, for him to say something in a press conference, which he led the commentator to ask him the question, sorry, what do you mean, Lewis? And so he deliberately led them to that point. And I think it's going to unfold in the next while. And also, if you've noticed the interviews with Toto, he looks like a man who's ill. He is very unhappy, very unimpressed. Toto alluded to him leaving a couple of years ago. And now he's been faced with his star driver is leaving. And I think it's their own doing. Toto is part and parcel of Mercedes Senior, and the deal that wasn't handed to him with the ambassadorship for Lewis to stay on afterwards has led to the moment where Lewis decided to leave and go to Ferrari with a fabulous payday and the chance to win a championship in a different car. And I think that the whole thing is unraveling for some reason, and we won't know. But it's like everything. I mean, Lewis has a book ready to go about what happened in 2016 with Nico Rosberg, and the bullying and the mind games and all the stuff that happened within the team. And Lewis, is a gentleman and he hasn't released it yet, but he's always said, well, you'll read it in my book later. And I now think that this is a whole new chapter. for this book, because I think that the deal he struck with them is part of his package to stay with them for a full year's notice. They're not living up to it now, and he knows it now, and he's actually upset. There you go. I'm not going to keep on about it, but I'm truly hurt for him, because I can see he's hurt by what's happening.